إسرائيل اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم وأني فضلتكم على العالمين. So this is the ayat we have read it before. O you children of Israel, remember my blessings upon you, that I gave you preference all over the world. So this is a reminder to Bani Israel that how he preferred Bani Israel for the prophets. Now in the next ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is introducing us to Ibrahim alayhi salam, who's called the Abul Anbiya, the father of all the prophets. So there is estimated about 124,000 prophets and Rasuls that have come. And out of that, about 4,000 was from the progeny of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. His two sons who were also prophet, Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam and Hazrat Ishaq alayhi salam. So Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam came from the progeny of Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam and Hazrat Ishaq alayhi salam. He is blessed with, this is what is a reminder that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying that he preferred, means all the about estimated 4,000 prophets came from the children of Ishaq alayhi salam. Ishaq alayhi salam was a prophet. Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam was a prophet. Hazrat Ishaq alayhi salam was prophet. His son Yaqub alayhi salam was a prophet, and Yusuf alayhi salam was a prophet. And all the other, like from Yusuf alayhi salam, from his progeny, Musa alayhi salam came, and Musa alayhi salam, after Musa alayhi salam, the prophets after prophets came. So many prophets that we don't even have the name of all of them. They estimate about 4,000 prophets that came from Bani Israel. But there was one prophet who was the Imam of all the prophets, had to come from Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam, and we will read the dua that is Ibrahim alayhi salam made. Now we are introducing with Ibrahim alayhi salam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا لَا تَجْزِي نَفْسًا عَنْ نَفْسٍ شَيْئًا وَلَا يُقْبَلُ مِنْهَا عَدْلٌ وَلَا تَنْفُعُهَا شَفَاعَةٌ وَلَا هُمْ يُنْصَرُونَ. So now Bani Israel is being reminded that those 4,000 prophets, they had prophesied that Imam of all the Anbiya, Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, is coming. They get reminder after one prophet, prophesies the other prophet, and they all prophesied. In the Alame Misal, they had taken the oath, the covenant they had taken when they find Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that they will accept him, they will obey him, and this is what all the prophets had taken a covenant on that. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding them that what happened to your oath, what happened to your covenant, what happened to the prophecies that were given by your prophets after prophets, about 4,000 of them. That so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning them that fear the day when nobody will be able to help other person out, and there will not be any intercession by one person. So this is the intercession in the worldly thing. Like in the worldly thing, one person can make a compensation and get a bail out of the thing. But in the day of judgment, people who have willfully disobeyed the prophets, so for them there will not be any help and all that. So now Ibrahim alayhi salam, وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ قَالَ إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا قَالَ مِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِي قَالَ لَا يُنَالُ أَحَدَ الظَّالِمِينَ. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was tested with few commands, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested, like more the love is for the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more is the trial. Sheikh Abdul Jilani says that the more iman a person has, and the harder is the test for that person. So he reminds us in Futuhul Ghuyub that life of ordinary Muslim is usually harder than non-Muslim. It is an experience that usually a Muslim has a harder life than a non-Muslim. Then from the ordinary Muslim, usually wali has harder life than the ordinary Muslims. And then it keeps goes on, the Khutub, the Abdal, and all that. And after that, the prophets and Rasul. So Rasul are the hardest test people. And Ibrahim alayhi salam was tested like, so hard was his test. He was told to abandon his wife, Bibi Hajra, and his infant son, Ismail alayhi salam, in the middle of nowhere. If any of us are given that kind of command, that go abandon your child, newborn child, or the infant child, and your wife, so nobody will be able to fulfill that command. But Ibrahim alayhi salam, without, this is what is being reminded in Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested Ibrahim alayhi salam. So he abandoned his wife, Bibi Hajra, and Ismail alayhi salam in where is now Makkah. But at that time it was nothing. It was just a barren land. And Bibi Hajra, again, she asked on, why are you leaving us in the middle of nowhere? And there was an imminent death, waiting for them. Because Ibrahim alayhi salam, he left, the only provision he left for Bibi Hajra was a bag of dates and a water skin of water. And very soon that ran out. But when Ibrahim alayhi salam was abandoning them in the valley of Makkah, so she asked, why are you leaving us? And then she asked, is it the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So Ibrahim alayhi salam nodded, yes. So after that, she did not question. So is the, the attitude of the righteous people. When they realize it is just from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they do not question. And when Ibrahim alayhi salam was told to abandon his wife and child, he did not question. He fulfilled that without any questions, without any hesitation. Then again, Ismail alayhi salam, when he grew up a little bit, we do not know the exact age, but probably he was a toddler. He was 6 years old. Ibrahim alayhi salam was told to visit Makkah again from Palestine. He came, and this time a test was even harder. He was told to sacrifice his son. And he was, I think, different scholars have different opinion, but there's one estimation that he was 6 years old, Ismail alayhi salam. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him command to sacrifice his son, he did not hesitate. Ismail alayhi salam did not hesitate. He realized that it is command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, Baba, go ahead and sacrifice me. And his wife, Bibi Hajra, she did not hesitate. She did not interfere. That if it is command from that. So this is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by his beloved people, Bibi Hajra, Ismail alayhi salam, and Ibrahim alayhi salam. So that's what is mentioned. The day when Ibrahim alayhi salam put Ismail alayhi salam on the stone, and just to find courage, what he did, he blindfolded himself and blindfolded his son Ismail alayhi salam. And he took out a knife to sacrifice him. That was a day that, even the angels from heavens, they started crying. They did not know what was going on. So they started crying. Ever since the angels have been created, they cried only 2 times. One time when Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam put Ismail alayhi salam on the stone and was about to sacrifice. When angels saw that thing, they started crying. Second time they cried when Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was totally disappointed with the attitude of Makkah in the 10th year of Nabuwah, he went to Taif and tried to propagate Islam there. And the people were very cruel. They started pelting stones on him. And that was the day, that the second time that the angels of heaven cried. Anyway, this was such a love and the obedience of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And that's why, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested him again and again. And he always became, successful in his, obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why all the things that you see in the Makkah, all the rites of Hajj, they are associated with Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ismail alayhi salam, and Bibi Hajra. When Ibrahim alayhi salam was tested and he was told to abandon his wife and the child, very soon the bag of dates ran out, and very soon the water ran out. Now Bibi Hajra is thirsty, and she could not find any food, any provision for herself and from for her, infant child. So she, just to look for the water, she climbed on a Mount Safa. So she was looking around. She was looking around. Is there any source of water? Anybody coming? So she could not do that. So she descended from Safa. And now when she descended, from the Mount of Safa, she could see Ismail alayhi salam. She had put it there, and she ran faster, and then she go to Marwa, and she did the same thing. So this place in Safa and Marwa is marked today, and there's a Greek light lit there. So that's where Hajar ran fast. So this became the part of the rites of Hajj. And then another thing is, when after doing the 7 thing, Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam, he put his heel on the ground and the water gushed out. That was the well of Zamzam. Bibi Hajara, she saw that water gushing out and it was coming out very fast. So she said Zamzam. Zamzam literally means slow down, or so that's why a lot of water comes out to this day from Zamzam, but Zamzam well, but it comes out slow. If she would not have said those words, slow down, there would have been so much water gushed out of that well that probably the whole world would have drowned. So that's why you see it's an immense source of water, but it comes out very slowly. So many pilgrims, 22 about 2.2 million pilgrims go there. They drink from it. They take out about 2 liters with them. They carry it back to them, but it never runs out. All the other rites that you see, that sacrifice, when that this is a sacrifice of Ismail alayhi salam, that this is also became the rite of the Hajj, that we have to sacrifice a lamb or any other animal. So this is why the whole rites of Hajj, they are associated with love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is actually the reflection of the love Ibrahim alayhi salam had for the, so we just, follow him. We just try to, follow his sunnah. And that's why, just like Ibrahim alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was happy with Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ismail alayhi salam, and Bibi Hajra. So we follow his footstep. So, inshallah, so Ibrahim alayhi salam was tested with some commands. So kalimat means here, the kalima literally means the words, but here means commands. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave some words or some commands. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say that I will make you the imam for all the people. So all the major Abrahamic religion, whether Muslims, whether Jews or Christians, they accept Ibrahim alayhi salam as the source of their teachings. Look at Muslims, when we read namaz 5 times a day. So when we read Durood, we read the Durood Ibrahimi. So 5 times, we say Durood on Ibrahim alayhi salam and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And every time we go to Hajj, we actually follow the footsteps of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam and Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam, because this was the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that was built by Ibrahim alayhi salam. So it is fitting to discuss this whole Arabian Peninsula is holy to us. So I would like to go a little bit depth or history of the Arabia. So the history is, we can start, a good starting point would be the flood of Noah alayhi salam. When the flood of Noah alayhi salam receded and his ark or his ship landed on the shore. So his children, he only boarded the people who were the monotheists or Muslims. He said that all the people who are the transgressors should be destroyed. So all the people who boarded the Noah's ark, they were Muslims. So when his ship landed on the shore, his children spread all over the place, and his son Nuh alayhi salam, Sam, actually he came and made Arabian Peninsula his home. And after that, like, the whole of his progeny spread in the Arabia. So where the Khana Kaaba is right now, before the Adam al-Islam was sent to Arabia, there was also a place of worship for angels, because there were no humans in this world. There were only jinns, and there were angels who would come and do the tawaf for the thing. But after the Noah's flood, Noah al-Islam's flood, that place of worship was destroyed. That was a place of worship when Adam al-Islam visited, and he made the Hajj there. But after Noah al-Islam's flood, that place was destroyed, and it was only rebuilt by Hazrat Ibrahim al-Islam. That place was marked, and it is placed not, it predates Ibrahim al-Islam, but in this modern time, Ibrahim al-Islam built it. When Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went on the Miraj journey, so on the first heaven, he met Adam alayhi salam, and in the second heaven, he met Isa alayhi salam, Yahya alayhi salam, and Zakaria alayhi salam, and the third one, he met Yusuf alayhi salam. And when he went to the seventh heaven, he met his father, Ibrahim alayhi salam. And what he saw, just like we have a Kaaba here in Makkah, so there's another Kaaba on the seventh heaven, and Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam saw his father, Ibrahim alayhi salam, leaning against that, and he greeted him because it was his, ancestor and father. So Ibrahim alayhi salam said to Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, say salam to your ummah. So the Kaaba that is on the seventh heaven, it is called Baitul Mamur. So just like this Kaaba, the earthly Kaaba is associated with Ibrahim alayhi salam. Even on the seventh heaven, Ibrahim alayhi salam is associated with Baitul Mamur. Although the angels, do the tawaf, 70,000 angels do the tawaf. Anyway, before Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam, the prophets that came to Arabia, first one was Hud alayhi salam. Although, I said Sam was a Muslim, Noah alayhi salam's son, but later on, Shaitan, misguided them from there, and they became the idol worshippers. So the first civilization that appeared in Arabia was Qawm Ad, and they were expert architects. They could carve, towns and towns out of, stonework. Like they will make their dwelling right in the mountains. They will cut the mountains, and they took irrigation to the next level. So that was Qawm Ad. So Hud alayhi salam was sent to guide them to the right path and monotheism, to the Tawheed, but they disobeyed and they were destroyed. So this was the first prophet after Nuh alayhi salam that emerged, the first civilization that appeared in Arabian Peninsula. The remnants of Hud alayhi salam, who were all Muslims, they came from, their center was south, somewhere between Oman and Yemen. So the remnants of that, they came to the north, and they make the northern Arabian Peninsula their home. And again, after that, they became they deviated from the right path and became the idol worshippers again. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Salih alayhi salam for the guidance. And Salih alayhi salam, again, was given a miracle of she-camel. But the nation of Samud, the nation of Salih alayhi salam, disobeyed him, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wrath came. So before Ibrahim alayhi salam, there were two prophets, Salih alayhi salam and Hud alayhi salam, that had preceded in Arabian Peninsula. Now Ibrahim alayhi salam, his homeland was a town called Ur. Ur was a town that was actually a suburb of Babylon, the ancient city of Babylon. And the tyrant there ruled was Namrud. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, because of the circumstances, he was, Ibrahim alayhi salam, one of his title was Bud Shikan. That means idol breaker. That, in the Babylon, idol worshipping was a common thing. So he opposed that. And as a punishment, the tyrant king Namrud, he had him thrown in the fire. So it was another test for Ibrahim alayhi salam. We'll just talk about that, how Ibrahim alayhi salam was tested. That, he was told to renounce his faith, but he did not. He preferred to go and thrown into the fire rather than renounce his faith. So Allah subhanahu again, he came successful in the test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say that inni jailuka linnasi imama, I will make you the imam or the leader of the faithful. And so Ibrahim alayhi salam, what about my progeny? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say that my promise will not go to the people who are evildoers or the people who are astray. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed Ibrahim alayhi salam with a lot of prophets in his progeny, but mostly about 4,000 of them from the children of Ishaq alayhi salam. But the imam of all the Anbiya, which is Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, came from the Ismail alayhi salam. Some scholars, Allah knows his hikmat or his wisdom best. But the dua Ibrahim alayhi salam made, from Ismail alayhi salam, no other prophet came. So there's no ambiguity, there's no confusion that the imam of all the prophets is none other than Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. If there were other prophets from all other Ismail, you can say, okay, but there's no confusion. So وَإِذْ جَعَلْنَا الْبَيْتَ مَثَابَةً لِلنَّاسِ وَأَمْنًا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Baitullah a place of congregation and place of assembly for the people, and made the Maqam Ibrahim Musalla. So what is Maqam Ibrahim? Now Maqam Ibrahim is a place where the relic of Ibrahim alayhi salam, where his footprints are preserved. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in Hujjatul Wida, when he did that, he performed the 2 rakat namaz there. So, but Maqam Ibrahim, actually this is the what you saw one place is actually only the relic. But Maqam Ibrahim is actually, he built the Kaaba. Actually it is the whole building, and the whole building is the one that all over the where we do the tawaf, everywhere is Maqam Ibrahim, because Maqam Ibrahim means where he stood up and built the Kaaba with Ismail alayhi salam. So Ibrahim alayhi salam was putting out the stones, and Ismail alayhi salam was putting out the mortar or the cement for the blocks. And that's how he did. But just like some people say Maqam Ibrahim is only the one place. It is, he stood there, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, among many miracles of Ibrahim alayhi salam, preserved the footprints of that wherever he was standing. And this is like one of the tabarukat for us, and it is also the sunnah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that he stood up in his Hujjatul Wada and performed 2 rakat namaz there. So this is Maqam Ibrahim. But all over the place where Ibrahim alayhi salam must have gone around the Kaaba to build it, like and Ismail alayhi salam helping him. So this whole place around the Kaaba is Maqam Ibrahim, and the relic is in this particular spot. And وَأَهَدْنَا إِلَىٰ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَإِسْمَاعِيلَ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam that keep my place, which is my house, which is Kaaba, that keep it clean. And for the Akifin, the people who go there for itikaf, and for the people who do the sujood and do the ruku. So this is the blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not only in his time, although Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam built the Kaaba and he cleaned the Kaaba, like he made it clean for that, but all the hajis that go every day, like all the people who came after him to this day, actually the host of that is Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam. This is the honor of hajis that they go, and it is estimated that Ismail alayhi salam is also buried somewhere around Kaaba. Allah knows the best. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to Ibrahim alayhi salam that keep this place clean for the Rakin and Akifin, the people who do itikaf, and the people of who and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then made a dua. Now here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is introducing not only the chapter of Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam, also duas. That, first dua we see, first dua in the Quran is, of course, Surah Fatiha, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it to Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a summary of the whole the Quran. And summary of the whole Quran, this is also a dua, that all the duas the prophets did. So we are being introduced to the Ibrahim alayhi salam and what kind of duas he made. So the first dua he made is that please accept from us that, what are we doing? The building of Kaaba, although he built it. And another dua he made it, that for the people of inhabitant, when Ibrahim alayhi salam abandoned his wife and children, wife and child, there was no food provision. All he left was a water skin of water and one bag of dates. But today, as you see, that it was the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam, that today you can see that millions and millions of people go to perform Hajj, and all of them, they get so much variety of fruits. This is why, because the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam, that Ibrahim alayhi salam made a dua that, make my city, make this city the place of peace, and provide the people inhabitant of that with the fruits. And although there was no fruit that is grown in the Makkah, but you can, if those people who have performed Hajj and Umrah, they can see that all kind of fruits come from all over the world right into Makkah. The nearest source of fruit is Taif, which is actually just a suburb of Makkah, but also the other fruits. So you would not find that, Makkah, although nothing grows there, but there's a shortage of any fruit. This is, of course, the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So, وَإِذْ يَرْفَعُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ الْقَوَاعِدَ مِنَ الْبَيْتِ وَإِسْمَاعِيلَ رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا. This is the dua I was talking about, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he say that although he was building the Kaaba with Ismail alayhi salam, but he's asking, please accept us. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. This is the very blessed dua. This is the dua of a prophet, Abul Anbiya, Ibrahim alayhi salam, that whenever you do something for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so do this dua, because everything associated with Ibrahim alayhi salam is the pleasure and the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So also his dua, that any good thing you do, you read this dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So, Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka antas samiul alim. So then another dua that he says, oh our Lord, make us Muslims and boing to your and our progeny. So he's also not only asking to make a dua for himself that, keep us Muslim, and among us, among progeny, make them Muslim as well. And now this is the dua that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to say, I am the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. رَبَّنَا وَابْعَثْ فِيهِمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْهُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِكَ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. So he's saying, our Lord, send amongst them an apostle of their own. We shall rehearse your signs to them, instruct them in the scriptures and wisdom. And this is the one that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is being prophesied, that Ibrahim alayhi salam say that from my progeny, Ismail alayhi salam, send us a prophet, because Ismail alayhi salam was blessed because he was the one, although Ishaq alayhi salam was also a prophet, but Ismail alayhi salam was the one who built Kaaba with his father. So the dua is exclusively for him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted that dua, that although our Lord Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was Ummi, but he was given a book. And it was, his being Ummi is also a miracle, that he's the one who taught all the instructions. And he means to purify. So as we discussed in the previous lecture, that when Ismail alayhi salam passed away, his father-in-law became the custodian of Kaaba. And after that, for few generations, there were people who followed the right path. They remained Muslims. But there was one person who became the custodian of Kaaba. His name was Umar al-Lahmi. This is the one who introduced the idol worshipping into the Kaaba. He was the first person. And after that, much later, Nabi Sallallahu in his 8th year of Hijrah, he conquered Makkah, Fatah Makkah, and then he smashed all the idols. And it was a tragedy that Ibrahim al-Salam, that whose title was Butshikan, or the idol breaker, and his progeny, they put a lot of idols, about 360 idols, all around the Kaaba. And not only that, but Butshikan, Ibrahim al-Salam, they also made a statue of him, and they also made a statue of his son Ismail alayhi salam, and they put inside the Kaaba. So there were 3 statues right in the Kaaba. So when on the Fatah Makkah, when Nabi Sallallahu entered Makkah, so he told Sahaba to destroy all the idols around it. And Ismail alayhi salam and Ibrahim alayhi salam, he told Muslims to go inside and smash those idols. And there were also some images written on the walls of Kaaba inside. He told them to, erase them. Only then he entered, and he said that actually what they used to do, this pagan people of Arabia, they used to play a lotto or the draw. What they would have in a picture, they would have all kind of arrows. If they want to find out they should do a thing, so they will tell the priest of Kaaba that put 2 arrows, one for yes and one for no, and without knowing, because take out 1 arrow and that will mean yes or no. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, by Allah, those prophets never played any of those games in which they draw and all that. Anyway, what happened to the Zamzam well? As we know that when Ismail alayhi salam put his heel on the ground, the water gushed out. But what happened when the Kaaba became, when Makkah became the idol worshippers? They started infighting, and one group of people, what they did, they sealed the Zamzam well, and they started, nobody knew what happened to it until Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, he was told, at that time there were idols all around the Kaaba, and there was one idol, of a female thing. Her name was Naila. That was put where now the Zamzam well is, but nobody knew the thing of that. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, he was shown a dream that go and dig in there. So he went and dig there, and he rediscovered the Zamzam well, and that's how people knew. But from a long time, when Makkah became idol worshipper, that the location of that well was not known to people until it was rediscovered or redug by Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's grandfather. When Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's grandfather was digging the well, he had only one son. And his name was Haris. So he made, he had difficulty digging that well. And a lot of people in the Makkah, they said, don't do that. There are already too many wells. But he said, no, this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded me to do, to dig in a particular area. So he dug it, and he discovered the Zamzam well. So he made that, his grandfather wished that, I wish I had 10 sons. So if I had 10 sons, I will sacrifice one son in the name of Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted Abdul Muttalib 10 sons. And when his sons all grown up, he remembered his niyat, or his wish, that when I was digging Zamzam well, I had made a wish, or that that if I have 10 sons, one of them I will sacrifice. So he remembered it. So he took all his sons to the custodian or the priest of the Kaaba and say that I had made a mannat that I will sacrifice one son in the name of Allah. So these are the names of 10 of my sons. So as it was a custom, he draw a name. And when he draw the name, Nabi Muhammad's father, Abdullah's name came out. So he grabbed a knife and was about to sacrifice Hazrat Abdullah, but all the the nobles of Quraysh, they stopped him and said, no, draw it differently. What you should do is draw it again, make a piece of paper. On one side you write Abdullah's name, and on the other side you write 10 camels. So if that side came, because they used to draw it with the two arrows. So if Abdullah's name came, you sacrificed Abdullah, and if 10 camels came, you sacrificed 10 camels. So when the priest draw it, so again Abdullah's name came, Hazrat Abdullah's name. So he again tried to sacrifice him. So these chiefs of the Quraysh said, don't do that. Increase the camels to 20, and then you draw it for Abdullah, or 20 camels. So it keep increasing from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 to 70 to 80 to 90 to 100. When 100 camels name came, so 100 camels. So Abdul Muttalib sacrificed 100 camels instead of Hazrat Abdullah. So that's why Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam say that I am son of two Zabihan. Why he would say that? His own father was also supposed to be sacrificed, but instead of that, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala chose 100 camels. And his great grandfather Ismail alayhi salam was again, he was called Zabihullah. So inshallah, we will leave it to here. This is a topic that we. So if there are any questions or comments, please go ahead.